The sun never truly rose that winter. It only glowed faintly through a thick white mist that covered the land like a ghost's breath. Every tree stood frozen solid, its branches heavy with ice that cracked and moaned in the wind. Deep inside a cave at the edge of the valley, a small tribe huddled close to a flickering fire, the only color left in a world of gray. The cavemen had survived many seasons, but none like this. The cold was not just air. It was a living enemy that crept into their bones, bit their fingers, and silenced the forest. Even the mammoth had vanished farther south, and the rivers were locked under walls of glass. Their world was shrinking, and so was their hope. The tribe leader, Gar, sat closest to the fire. His skin was rough and scarred, his beard thick with frost. He stared at the flames as if they were gods. To him, fire was not warmth. It was life itself. Around him, women crushed dried berries into powder, mixing them with melted fat to create a bitter paste. Children, wrapped in animal furs, slept in piles, their faces pale and thin. The young hunters sharpened bone-tipped spears, whispering quietly about the hunt that would come at dawn, a hunt that might save or doom them. Every movement was slow, deliberate, careful. Energy was precious, and every mistake could cost a life. Outside the cave, the world howled. Snowstorms swept across the valley, erasing tracks and swallowing sound. Wolves cried somewhere in the distance, hungry, restless, and watching. The air carried a warning: survive or be swallowed by the cold. When the morning came, though it looked no different than night, 3 men set out. Gar, the leader; Orc, a younger hunter with bright, defiant eyes; and Darn, the quiet one who never spoke unless needed. They wrapped themselves in the thickest hides they owned. Mammoth were stitched with bone needles, and smeared ash on their faces to dull the glare of snow. Each carried a crude spear, a flint knife, and a dream of meat. The forest was an alien world. Every step crunched under their feet, echoing through the silence. Icicles hung like teeth from fallen branches, and the smell of decay mixed with frost. For hours they trudged through waist-deep snow, scanning for tracks. Then Orc saw it, a line of faint depressions winding through the trees. Reindeer prints. Their hearts surged. Food meant survival, but it also meant risk. Predators followed the same scent. They tracked the herd for miles, their breath turning to clouds in the air. When they finally saw them, a small group of weak reindeer digging through snow for grass, Gar signaled silence. They crept forward, slow as shadows. The hunt was brutal and fast. Spears flew. 1 reindeer fell. The others fled, hooves thundering across the ice. Gar plunged his blade into the beast's neck, whispering thanks to the spirit of the animal, a ritual older than language. But before they could celebrate, the forest answered with a growl. Wolves. A pack, 6, maybe 7, eyes glinting like fire in the white gloom. The hunters formed a circle, brandishing spears. There was no time for fear, only instinct. The first wolf lunged and met Gar's spear midair. Blood splattered on the snow, steam rising from the wound. Orc yelled, stabbing another. Darn swung a burning branch torn from his torch, screaming until his voice broke. The wolves retreated, but they'd return. The men dragged their kill home, their bodies trembling, hearts pounding. Back in the cave, the tribe welcomed them like heroes. The reindeer was skinned, its meat divided among the families. Smoke filled the cave as they roasted it over the fire. The smell was holy. For the first time in weeks, the children smiled. Yet even as they ate, the tribe knew this joy was temporary. The cold outside never rested. As night fell, the temperature dropped again. The cave walls glittered with frost, and the fire dimmed under lack of wood. Gar ordered a watch, 2 men at a time, to keep the flames alive. Without fire, they'd freeze before sunrise. The women worked on new hides, sewing together fur blankets using bone needles and sinew. They shared stories, tales of the great warmth. When the earth was green and mammoths walked freely, stories were their warmth. They reminded them why they fought to live. But danger was never far. A sudden sound echoed, a low rumble from deep within the mountain. The earth was shifting, cracking under the cold. Gar ordered silence. The fire flickered as if listening. Then, from outside, came a faint howl, long, haunting, closer than before. The wolves had followed the blood trail to the cave. Fear spread like frost through the group. Spears were raised and torches lit. Survival had no rest. Snow fell harder, sealing the cave entrance with white walls. The tribe built a barricade of stone and bone, leaving a narrow slit for air. Outside, the wolves prowled, their shadows dancing against the cave mouth. The firelight flickered over faces, some terrified, some calm, all ready to fight. Gar stood at the front, spear in hand. Behind him, Orc gripped a torch, his heart beating like a drum. The first attack came at midnight. A wolf squeezed the gap, snapping, claws slashing the air. Orc screamed and drove the torch into its mouth. The creature yelped, smoke rising from its fur. Others followed, clawing, biting, testing the stones. The cave became a battlefield. Men shouting, fire roaring, children crying. The smell of blood and smoke filled the air. Darn was bitten on the arm, his blood dark against the firelight. Gar dragged him back, roaring as he crushed a wolf skull with a rock. Hours passed like eternity. The storm outside screamed louder until even the wolves fled from it. The wind itself seemed alive, howling like spirits of the dead. The tribe huddled together, shaken but alive. The fire burned low, embers glowing like dying stars. Gar looked around. His people were bleeding, tired, but breathing. They had faced the night and won. When the storm finally died, silence fell, heavy, endless, sacred. The world outside was buried under new snow, smooth and untouched. The wolves were gone. The tribe emerged slowly, blinking in the pale light. The sun finally broke through the clouds, weak but real, spreading gold over the frozen valley. Gar lifted his face toward it, feeling warm for the first time in days. They buried the dead wolf outside as a sign of respect, an offering to nature, not an insult. The reindeer meat was hung high in the cold air to preserve it. Life, fragile as it was, continued. Children played near the fire, laughing quietly. Orc sat beside Darn, wrapping his wounded arm with fur. The tribe's fear had turned into pride, not arrogance, but the deep understanding that they were part of something ancient. As night approached again, Gar stared into the fire and whispered, "We are not the strongest, only the most stubborn." And that was enough. For the cavemen of the frozen age, survival wasn't about strength or weapons. It was about spirit. The fire crackled, painting their faces gold. Outside, the stars watched in silence as the tribe slept, small, human, unbroken.